I don't know. There's a lot of different ways that people use the term equity. I just want to share a quick definition. First, thinking about inequity. Inequity is an unfair or privileging and dispossessing, both sides of the same coin, unfair distribution of access and opportunity, including access and opportunity to material and non-material resources. So think about this. What are some material resources that some of your students have access to, but other of your students don't have access to them? But the students who do have access to those material resources are probably going to be at an advantage in school. What would be an example of that? Technology. Anybody think of another example? If you whisper it, I can't hear you. What's that? Support from home. Well, you know what's interesting actually about that is I haven't seen this across race, but I've seen it across class, is that actually what research shows is the idea, especially for students experiencing poverty, is that actually, although they might get different kinds of support from home, they get just as much support from home. But it might be different kinds because there might be a literacy issue at home with parents and those sorts of things. So, access to food, healthy food in particular, paid tutoring, right? What if we took all of these test scores that y'all are collecting and then put them on a graph based on who has access to professional tutors? How might that show us a little bit differently what's happening there? That really it's about access and opportunity. It's not about ability or capacity. It's about access and opportunity. And then there are non-material resources, which might be a little bit harder to get our arms around. But non-material resources, non-material access and opportunity are things like who sees themselves reflected in the curriculum? Who has access to a curriculum that reflects them in serious, ongoing ways rather than, well, here is our unit of women poets as a separate thing. Who has access to schools whose policies are built around their life realities instead of someone else's life realities, right? Who has access to teachers who look like them and understand their experience, those sorts of things. So equity is really about redistributing access and opportunity. This doesn't mean that students bring their belongings to school and I confiscate their stuff and then redistribute their stuff. What it means is that I think about, okay, what are the shifts in policies and practices? What are the shifts in ideology and institutional culture we need to make schools equitable and just? That's the redistribution. That's the redistribution, at least that non-material part of redistribution. So a very simple way of measuring equity efforts in a school is to say, okay, how are these efforts redistributing access and opportunity? Can I describe that very specifically? Here is how this policy, and it's even just about decisions, individual decisions that we make. For instance, about homework. I don't know how you all are handling homework. I also don't know if you all know that basically what research shows now is homework's pretty useless. Homework, most kinds of homework that are given right now do not improve students' learning, have zero impact on their learning. And if you think about it like this, it makes sense. And this is a colleague of mine posted this, and it kind of blew me away. It said that if I know how to do the homework, then why would I have to do the homework? I already know how to do it. If I don't know how to do the homework, then why are you sending me home by myself to do the homework? Either way, it seems like, well, why that? And it's really interesting, too, because even though there is literally now a decade of research that shows very clearly that homework does not contribute to student learning, some of us are so tied, our identities are so invested in the way that things have always been done, that people will just look at that data and say, no, that's not true. That's not true. But it is true. So stop giving homework.